Good morning, Maurice.
Good morning, right.
Maurice Kearley is here from Newfoundland, and he is the last Dunton fisherman. And we're just going to ask him a few questions. How does it feel to be back and seeing the Dunton again, Maurice?
Oh, I must say feels good. It feels good. But it didn't look nice for the sail masters gone.
What do you remember most about the Dunton?
Remember most about the Dunton?
You know, the things that you
Oh,
remembered while you were on board, maybe the sword fishing, whatever it was.
I remember right about the Dunton. The Dunton was a good boat. She was a good boat to work on. She was good sea boat and one thing and another. The Dunton was really good. I remember a lot about the Dunton. I can remember the first time she coming across the bay from Grand Bank to English Harbour West to pick us up and take us off to the banks for to go all the button on it.
When you were fishing on the Dunton, I think you mentioned something about sword fishing.
Oh yeah, when we get out the doors, be out on their gear, the skipper used to then steam around. That's good days now, and he go looking for swordfish. I see one day while we were there, he had a good day to fish, and there was he got 10 swordfish one day. Well, that was while we was taking the gear, taking the fish. Yeah, I must say.
And the dorymen helped him.
No, not really, because there's 4 men on board. That's who used to when he stabbed him. Now we had a dory. The first dory go aboard. That's you take on deck. So that's the one used to haul back the swordfish, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell us what it was like on an average fishing day, from the time you got up until the time you went to bed. First, what did you do?
Well, when they call you to go on your day's work, you have to get out and to cook out breakfast, and then you get on. There was times you'd be out sitting your gear probably 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, and then you come on back aboard the schooner a little late for probably a couple hours, and then they put you out. Now you spend the rest of the day indoors then till probably coming on dark like, and then the dories start all coming aboard, and then you start thrusting down your fish.
And so how long did it take to clean the fish usually?
Well, you clean your fishes out according to them, how many fish you get a day, right?
Of course.
I mean, sometimes you get probably 18, 20,000. You had to clean that up, and then probably some days you wouldn't get very much at all.
Yeah.
No?
On those long days, how many hours would you spend
Pardon?
at it? On the big catch, how many hours would you have spent cleaning?
Oh, well, on the big catch, I mean, you probably wouldn't get down before probably midnight before you get off the deck again.
Do you have any memories about the crew and your friendships that you made? And
Oh, I must say, yeah, we was all as one. Like, I mean, we had a good crew. If I wanted anything, I'd just say what to the one of the boys that give me a hand on this, or they do the same thing. I mean, we was all, yeah, I must say, we was all got along good together on the boat. But now, daytime, we wouldn't see one another. I mean, when we leave that schooner in the morning, and we fish all day, the skippers was the only one. When we be taking the fish out of the gear, get the dory full, we go back and discharge it. We wouldn't see our other buddies before in the evening.
you once told me that you chose your bunks. Your bunks were chosen by your drawing a number out of a hat or a bag.
Well, see, when you go aboard the schooner, when you were going aboard in the spring, that the first thing you do was draw for your bunk. You had to draw for your bunk. They have a ticket made out and put in the bag, and you put your in and draw it. Well, if you draw the top bunk, you sleep in the top bunk. If you draw the bottom bunk, now like when my father say he started out that if I'd have drawn the top bunk, I would have give he the bottom bunk, or drawn the bottom bunk, and he draw the top one. I could he the bottom one because I was a much younger man and up in the top one I could take more rowing than what he would down below because you found it rougher up in the top bunk than you would in the bottom bunk.
What if an older man drew the peak?
Well-
What if an older man drew the peak bunk?
Draw the peak bunk. Well, there'd probably be some young fella change wood, but the peak bunk we call it, that's the wood you're talking about up in the peak light. That most generally the cagey, the fellow was cagey, he had to take, that's his bunk.
I see.
Yeah, he didn't have to draw, but that's for the cagey, he had to go up there.
I see.
Yeah.
Would you tell us about your family history? You mentioned your grandparents fished.
Well, my grandfather fished, but he didn't fish on the boats. He fished in the bay where he lived there. He and my grandmother. There was 10 of them, or he had 10 of them in his family. He had 8 children. They had 7 boys and 1 girl, and he never went out of Fortune Bay for make a living. He made his living in Fortune Bay. But now his father got up, the father went to sea, and from that all of we boys went to sea of Clare 1. Now my youngest brother, he was lucky enough, he got more education than what we got, and he went in the police force. But there was 5 of us. We went to sea
So,
because we couldn't do nothing else because we had no education. I mean, very small, little education. But I must say, we all done good for ourselves. We going to sea. I had a brother was chief engineer on the boats, and I had 2 more, and they were mates on the boats. I had a brother was skipper on the boats, and when I started out as a deckhand. I went from that to a bosun. I went from that to a mate. I went from that taking the boat to skipper. So I moved and moved. Well, I had a younger brother. He done the same thing. I mean, Max. Now he went from a bosun to a mate, but he never had a third hand job.
now, when you say bosun, did you mean on a dragger or did you mean on
No,
the
that's on
schooners?
dragger's bosun. Yeah.
You also mentioned that your sons fished, and did they fish with you?
Howard fished on the trawler with me, and Kevin, he made a few trips, but not too many. Kevin went and got his engineer course, and he went on to other draggers. But he was fishing at the same place, Farts, in the same plant.
And today, they went on to other careers. Later on, they went on to other careers.
Well, after Howard gave up, I just don't know how long. I suppose Howard probably was. He might have been fishing for a year or a couple of years, and then he went away in St. John's doing work and he got a job with the Coast Guard. So he spent 34 years with the Coast Guard when he retired.
How long? And then Kevin stopped fishing. And
Well, Kevin gave up fishing, and then the fishery went out. Then, the draggers went out. That's around Fortune. So Kevin gave up, and he went in and got his, went to college and got his engineer course. So right now he's on one of the ferries running from Sydney to Port Bass.
What was it like for your family to be separated, you and your family separated, sometimes for long periods of time? How hard was that?
Well, I guess it wasn't very nice for a woman to be back home, she got a man out there and all the people. Here in town got back to all the big breezes coming up and the wind and the fog and snowstorms and all that. I don't think it was really nice. I think there was a few times really lit on her pillow and didn't close her eye before. I know, especially when I used to go out skipper the boat, because like I was telling you, no education. Not like they got today. If danger was rode up there, yes, I could keep myself out of danger. But I mean, when it comes to taking a book and go reading and writing, I can only write in my own way. I wouldn't take something and write down to think that I can make something out of it. I can't. But we done it. I mean, it was like the saying, we done it. How we done it, we don't know, but we done it.
And she was also part of the fishery, wasn't she? Because when you had to put together the long line, you had the long line, and then you had the smaller gangins and the hooks.
Yeah.
They all had to be assembled.
Yeah.
And you brought it home.
Yeah, well, that's when I went. That's when I was on the bank, the salt schooner. No, we didn't do that. But when I was Archie Evans, Archie was across the Grand Bank, where he was going to skipper at L.A.Dunton, and he, when he come back, he brought back all the gear that we had to use that summer, and we had to do our own gear. When we got we got the trawl lines. And then we got the ginion line, and then we got the hooks. So that was all separated, but we had to put all this together. We had to stab our gear and put the ginion lines on. Then we had to take the hooks and put on the ginion line. Then we call our calls up and like that. So when we got the gear that evening, Archie come around and told us there was no phone. They couldn't phone and tell us. So he come around and he said, "Now boys," he said to me, he said, "Maurice," he said, "the gear is down aboard, down in the shed down on the wharf." He said, "You come down tomorrow." He said, "All I'll give you is what we're going to use." Like, I mean, let me see, we have 5 tubs and we use 8 foils. 40?
So you were...
8 foils. We had 40 lines. So we had to do up 40 lines for that summer. And when I went home that evening, I said to her, I said, "I got a job for you now." "Job?" She said, "What kind of job you got for me?" I said, "I got to stab my gear." I said, "Do all my gear." So I said, "You got to put the hooks on it so I can call it up." She said, "Maurice," she said, "I don't know how to do that." And I know she didn't, because she was never used to a fisherman. She was never used to a fisherman. I know she didn't. But I showed her. And I sat down there on one chair and she sat down on the other, and as I stabbed it and put the ginion onto the big line, I passed her the ginion and she put the hook on, and then she laying down, and when we get so much done that way, I usually get up then and call up in calls, and then we do a little bit more. So now when I said, "You got to help me," I don't know nothing about it. And like I say, she did, because her father never fished. He never fished. He just run as coasting like and worked on the land now. He would work up around Stephenville, where there was an airport up there, and yeah.
So it was a true family working effort that
Right.
got you through.
That's right.
How do you feel about the Dunton being here at Mystic Seaport, and you're telling me stories and others have told me stories, and all that is going to live on? How does that make you feel?
Well, I feel good over that, because I thought that was a great thing. I mean, for this Dunton to be somewhere, because I've often thought and I've often said to people, why did Newfoundland have so many fishing schooners? And you couldn't see a fishing schooner in Newfoundland. I mean, they had so many fishing schooners. Grand Bank, Fortune, English Airways, Ivor Britain, Bjorn, was not in only bank vessels. We was all fish. The Bay was not in only fishermen. And there was nothing there. And when I fished on the Dunton there, that she went into that coasting business, and after whatever they done with the schooner in Grand Bank, I didn't know nothing about it. I didn't know where she was at. Didn't know where they carried her out and sank her, or what they done with her. They sold her to someone. So
and when did you find out about the Dunton?
Well, when Howard, my son, was up old enough, he got married. Uncle Howard was married. Do you know what year? No, he don't. No, and I don't know just exactly
So-
what year he
so
got
you
married in.
Found out from your
And
son.
on their honeymoon, they was going down south, going to Florida for their honeymoon. And he was driving down through. He had a van then. He was driving down through. And coming down through Highway 95, wherever he seen the sign of the Dunton, I don't know. But he seen the sign of the Dunton marked up somewhere. And he said to Judy, Judy, I wonder if that the boat did sail down? Well, she said, let's go out and see. So when they drove out there to the seaport, and they went in the office there and seen the lady was there, and he said to her, excuse me, Mrs. He said, could you tell me, he said, where this ship come from to Dunton? And she said, yes, indeed I can. He said, come from Grand Bank, Newfoundland. He said, that's what I want to know. He said, my dad, he said, sailed on this boat. He said, the last one he went to the banks on was the Dunton. So he said, I'll tell you, he said, someday, he said, he'll put his foot back on her deck. So anyhow, I don't know how many years after, was it 2 or 3 years after, we come to Trudeau in Nova Scotia, and we rented a motorhome, and we went to Florida for a visit. And on our for a holiday, and on our holidays, he took a trip down to Seaport, and he put my foot on her deck, and that's when you began to find out if I was a seaman on the L.A.Dunton.
Well, it was all worth it, Maurice,
Mhm.
because you have given us so much, so many stories,
Yeah.
so much we can pass on to the visitors. And these stories absolutely delight the young children.
Mm-hmm.
I can't even tell you. I was so surprised when we were in your provincial maritime museum in Grand Bank, and I gave the presentation and I talked about you men, and most of the people in the audience did not know your stories.
No, that's right, though.
And I was very surprised about that. So I think our sharing it with your museum and our museum, this Dunton is going to live on.
Yeah, because that night when you was down there in the museum in Grand Bank, that after you had bringing my picture up on that screen a few times, there was a lot of people come along and said to me, and there was a fellow there now by the name of Neil Locke. He come to my house one time and they was down to Labrador fishing and brought me a salmon, and he said to me, he said, he said, I didn't think ever know it. He said that you was involved with the Dunton so much. And I said, well, so the schooner I sailed on, and I said, those people down there, what I said, that was looking after, I mean, they got after me. So I said, I went on from that, but I said that.
Well, you never cease to amaze me when we're speaking, and we've been together now for 3 days.
That's right.
And 2 days.
2 days.
And in spite of my visiting with you at least 6 times in the past, and you're staying at my house too, I'm still finding new stories from you.
Mm-hmm.
And I can tell you that Mystic Seaport is tremendously grateful for everything you've done, and we thank you so much.
Well, you're welcome, but
Okay.
yeah, I'll have some good memories now. They're back. I told you when you asked me there in August would I come down, and I said things have changed. I didn't know, but after finding out from the family, and the family saying to me, you follow you should go, and finding out the workers and who wouldn't work, and right at the time that she had her course done and everything, well, her job was waiting for her. She's losing out on money right now, be coming with me, but she was a good girl, and she said, I'll go along with you, Pop. So,
We can't see her, but in the background is Heidi, Maurice's granddaughter, And that's who he's referring to and asking questions of. So we thank her because she's the one who helped us.
Well, she's been right
very
in.
much.
She's been right in right now.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
So thank you, Maurice.
Well, you're welcome.
Okay.
Should I ask one question?
I didn't know how long we had. We didn't even discuss it. We could go on forever, but
We're at 20 minutes now. I don't know how long you guys have. We have.
what do you want? Because he could tell stories, and if you wanted to slice and splice,
Yeah, we have probably another 20 minutes or so. If you want to go.
All right, we'll do his stories then.
Okay. And that's also why is it important for Mystic Seaport to preserve the Dunton or ships like the Dunton? Why do
Didn't
you
I
think?
ask him that?
I think you asked him what he felt like coming back, but
I said, we talked about the people who came to visit and have hearing, being able to hear the stories and know the history of the Dunton. What else would you like to add to that?
I don't just why he thinks it's important. Yeah.
Well, that, he did say that.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Hmm?
All right. Do you want to tell some stories? Yes.
Morris, I wonder if you could share the story about the first time that you went out in Dory fishing with your father.
Yeah, well, I guess I can because when I was a boy at 16 years old, Father took me to the banks with him, and we left the 20th of March, and we went up on a place what we call the Western Shore. Now, from the Western Shore, there wasn't. We used to fish that far off. 'Cause a good day, you probably could see land. So we fished on the Western Shore for the spring, we call it. And then in May, we left that and we come down and we took a bait in a fresh herring. And we went to the Grand Banks. But when I got to Grand Banks, things was changed different. I didn't mind the Western Shore because I was looking at land and wasn't that far off. But when we got down on the Grand Banks, we was 300 miles off. And we got down there and we fished our trip and we come back. It was pretty good. No, I'm sorry. We got down there the first time we set out our gear. We anchored the boat and we set out our gear. And fog shut in on us. And I never seen no schooner. And then I thought in my own mind if she can carry me back to the land, she won't bring me out there no more.
Morris, is
So-
this when you had to draw a course and the schooner was at anchor?
Oh yeah,
And then you had to draw,
Yeah.
what course did you draw?
southwest. We draw the southwest course and then we set our gear out to the southwest. And when we had the gear set out and the fog closed in and we never seen no schooner, that's when I said that if I can get back to land, I won't be coming no more because the schooner's gone. And so when we got ready to come back, had the gear out, Father said to me, he said, put a sail on her. I put a sail on her, like you've got on the little dory there. And when I had that done, he said, come back now. He said, and stare down to the schooner. I said, I don't know where the schooner's to. Well, he said, you know as you come up southwest, he said, you got to go back northeast. Anyhow, I got back in the stern of her, but I steered away at her and the wind was just carrying us along with the sail and I was steering away and I thought to myself, I said, I hope and pray to the good Lord would strike her, but I still don't know where she's to. So we had a pocket watch. You always carry a pocket watch. You had to have your time with you anyhow because everything had to be timed. I mean, if you were moving from one place to another, you had to know how long you was going on one thing and another. So I obviously had a time, and he used to keep looking at his watch. And so the last time he hauled her out of his pocket, he took over to the line and slacked down the peak of the sail. I said, "Well, you do that for Father?" He said, "Well, outside the schooner." And when he said that, I looked up and the bow of the schooner was right there. And you could see the guy up on the bow saying, "Ooh, ooh," 'cause that's all we had. We never had no whistle like they got now. We just had the little horn, in a little wooden case. And they used to blowing. So that's all that we had there.
That wasn't the only time you had an encounter with fog, was it?
No. Well, I would make my father then. I was indoor with my uncle. I was indoor with my Uncle Noon. And we got down there and we got out one day fishing and the fog come in and when our day's work was over, we left to go down to the schooner. We missed her. We never got where the schooner was to, so then we fooled all around a little bit, just saying that we could come up across her, but we couldn't hear nothing, couldn't see nothing, so we know the schooner wouldn't nearby because if she would, we heard the horn, eh? Now at that time we had the whistle on the wheelers, eh? Yeah, and so anyhow, we just fooled around a little bit, and Uncle Noon said to me, he said, "Maurice boy," he said, "we might as well chuck the anchor overboard and anchor for until we comes across something. Now, there could be another schooner probably come up, was steaming and come across, we didn't know, or probably a steamer could have come across and pick us up or something like that. We didn't know if we were going to get aboard or anything, but we anchored and we never got nothing, never heard nothing for the night. The night went by and the two of us never closed our eyes. We just listened to see if we was going to be lucky enough because we know we was a long ways from home. And so anyway, when they come daylight in the morning, he said to me, "My son," he said, "it's just well for us to get ready for land." He said, "No, I mean, we're getting ready for land, but not saying we're going to make land. I mean, the weather could come bad, probably our little dory couldn't take it and that kind of stuff. We didn't know we were going to make land, but we were going to live in hopes that we would get the land." When he said to me, he said, "Just put your jacket, your rubber jackets was in." He said, "Just put it over your head." He said, "Get down the bow of the door." He said, "See if you can hear anything before we all up anchor." So I put the jacket over me and I got down the bow of the door and I just heard something like, "Ooh." And I said, look back at it and I said, "I heard something off of them." I said, "There's something there somewhere." I said, "There's somebody coming, or there's something around somewhere." I said, "Another schooner, or there's our schooner." And he said, "Try it again." He said, "Make sure." He said, you heard something." So I tried again and I heard something. I said to him, I said, "Come up now." I said, "And see if you can hear it." So he come up and he got down into the door and put the jacket over his head and sure enough he heard the sound. And he said to me, we had the compass on the metal top because you had to keep watching that compass, keep watching the schooner for to get the courses. Because I mean, it's no good to see the schooner go out of sight and you not know what course she was set from, yeah? So we keep watching and he said, "Pass line the compass." I passed line the compass down and he listened a bit. One boy he heard a little sound again and he put it in and he said, "She sound," he said, "seems like the sound of the way we got to go." So he said, "All up the anchor, all up the anchor." He said, "Put the sound jib on her, like you got here now, the sound jib." He said, "Put the sound jib on her." He said, we're headed for land." So we put the sound jib on it. 15 minutes we come across our own schooner. And she was so close to it that night. But the way the tide was running was carrying the sound away from us. But when the tide changed in the morning, it brought the sound more at us, eh? And this is when we got the sound from the schooner. So we was ready for 300 miles away in a little dory.
You mentioned that even as a motor vessel, and you had some sails on her, that she really sailed well, that she was good.
Oh, it was good sailing. We when we was out there, we get we were going somewhere and the wind was good with us, a fair wind we call it. where we could use all of ourselves, we would use our engine. We sell her a lot. I mean, we have well enough, we have sail enough. I mean, I told you that I seen L.A.Dunton dragging a rail from the stern to the bow, underwater, all night and all day and all night. While the wind stayed on, they was about coming.
How